did not lose the NCAA title opening night, November 6th to Duke.
Partner, we got a long way to go. 5th game of the year. Here's that starting unit for the Wildcats. Hosting Winthrop, a strong team from the Big South Conference in Kentucky. And that lineup clearly has some height advantage. Tyler Hero leaves one for P.J. Washington, and he elevates.
Well, this is going to be the challenge for Winthrop. The length of Kentucky around the rim, both offensively and defensively.
Winthrop essentially playing with 4 guards. Kyle Zunick on the drive. Out to Bjorn Broman. And the Eagles may have to hit a bunch of those threes early. Tyler Hero in rhythm. Down and out. He's the freshman from suburban Milwaukee. He's got a sweet shot.
Struggling a little bit here in the early going. Just 3 for 14. Now that's what Winthrop wants to do. Get feet in the paint, look for kickouts, extra pass. They're going to make the Kentucky bigs guard out on the floor.
And in that starting lineup, that is the tallest player who just hit the 3, Josh Ferguson from Miami. P.J. Washington with the first basket for the Wildcats. Unselfish this time to Keldon Johnson, who's always playing in a 4th year, the 5-star freshman.
One of the challenges for John Calipari early on, he feels like his team is getting good shots at the arc. They're just not knocking down those shots. 33% from bonus land.
And teams, 4 games into the year, certainly outscoring Kentucky from beyond the arc. That's where their opponents are taking a bulk of their shots. Nick Richards, when you got the size advantage, go into the big fella.
Well, when you catch the ball and both feet are in the paint, good things are going to happen. That's the challenge again for the Eagles. Can they defend block to block?
Nick Smith in the corner for 3. Left it short. He leads the Eagles with close to 20 points per game this year. So watch out for 0 in black. Hero. No.
That's okay, though. That's an open look. That's one John Calipari wants him to take. Was talking about that with Hero last night at practice.
And drive in. We could see Winthrop try to challenge us from beyond the arc. And as you said a moment ago, just another step to improve.
You know, they're losing the 3-point differential game on a nightly basis at an alarming rate.
Washington,
but then the 25-point game against North Dakota State, and he followed that up with 19 more.
Washington now guards the ball. Smith, the shifty guard, finds his teammate on the back door. Adam Pickett, who just checked in.
That's what Winthrop wants to operate offensively. Either score at the rim with some backdoor action or look for the open 3.
And now they guard man-to-man. Richards, well, it hit his left hand.
And I don't know where Pat Kelsey's seat is on the bench, but Kevin, I promise you, he will not be in it.
He will be up and down the sideline today. He coaches with intensity. You know, you and I were very impressed with his practice yesterday. High tempo. That's the way the Eagles like to play. They are selected as the 2nd best team in the preseason in their conference. Washington, nice shot. And he's got a couple baskets.
Good offensive patience by the Wildcats that time. There's the drive and the kick.
Ferguson has got 2 triples to the top of the key. At a 1-point game a few minutes in.
It's such an unnatural thing for a big guy not to help defensively.
Hero leaves it for E.J. Montgomery.
I don't think tempo, pace will be a problem today.
It's a nice action, cutting to the rim again, but Montgomery wipes the shot away. Keldon Johnson, and it spins down.
It entered today just 2 for 8. From beyond the arc. Our heads. That graphic right there tells you he's the one voice that every player on his team ought to be listening to.
The NBA draft since Calipari arrived, and remember, this is now his 10th year. Well, you were at that practice yesterday. Why is the advice so strong? What stands out to you that those players need to lock on to?
Well, he's talking about the process, and we're going to be talking about the process in terms of getting better. And he was talking to the players, hey, if you're playing better and I substitute another guy in, you've got to understand the rotation. There's so many things that these young players have to learn coming to a program like Kentucky.
Washington shot off the mark. And coming to grips with the ups and downs of a season, no doubt about it. Then it's going to face Seton Hall up at Madison Square Garden, so a few more games to get prepared. Of course, opening the season against Duke.
Well, again, coaches don't want to admit this, but they all look at their schedule in terms of groupings. And Kentucky is in this group of 7 games at home where they can get a lot better.
Oh, look what's today. Misfires on the free throw. A couple days ago against VMI, got poked in the eye, so now he takes Quade Green's old look. He went with the athletic guidance at one point last year. And this one's good. He's demanding, yet he kind of commands that respect from his players.
Right.
His teams have averaged 20 or more wins during his 6 seasons. It is difficult to sustain success like that. Quade Green, he is much more comfortable playing off the ball this year.
And what a bonus it is not to have 1 double-figure score off the bench, but 2.
And now the break. Quade, he wants another. Travis, the offensive board. Brought the ball down. Nice job. Strip. Green was certainly feeling it. He wanted that second triple. This is Nick Smith on the other end, way off the mark. So Ashton Hagans with the ball into the game for the first time. Emmanuel quickly on the other side of the floor. Now the threes are falling for the Wildcats.
Nice feed by Travis, unselfish play, but here's the response by the Eagles. Commitment.
Hagans, the Georgia Gatorade Player of the Year, feeds Washington. Nice look to Travis. Two-handed jam. And now back on defense.
Attract the double, dump down. Good execution, big to big.
Nick Smith, he does slash quite a bit. He's the senior from Memphis. Now he's got the ball. Dribbling into traffic. Zunic. Nice feed. Ukebu. So Winthrop doing a fine job of moving the ball around the perimeter, creating shots. But they've had trouble with Nick transferring from Stanford. He's the 5th-year senior. Travis comes to set the screen for Quade Green. Down to the block. Travis again. Already 3 for 3 from the floor. 6 points. That ball out of bounds. Kentucky has won 95% of its games in this building since John Calipari was named the head coach. It's Lexington, as Mark pointed out, wonderful city, not just for its basketball culture. And nicely done, Mark, visiting the Woodford Reserve as well. Travis has been a #1 in the college football playoff rankings at 11-0. All right, Nito, Kentucky, who you got in that football game, by the way? Or are you just looking forward to that SEC title game the next week?
Just to see about them, that Alabama-Georgia matchup, rematch, if you will. There's the length of Kentucky again out in the passing lane.
Look at P.J. Washington running the floor this Songs game early in the year.
Well, again, Is there any real difference between number 10 and number 20? I mean, these guys are so talented. They're so elite in terms of what they bring to the table. However, they do not make it to the next level without going through the process.
Bjorn Broman. And Johnson skies for the rebound. He brought the ball down, and then Belden knocked it away. Already 6 points and a few rebounds. Johnson gives 110% on both ends of the floor. But Falden hits the shot with his hand in the air.
Falden just averaging 6.3 on the year. Off to a quick start.
He had that 4-point play after he hit the triple and was fouled earlier. Nice defense by Anumba that time. Here come the Eagles. This is Smith's shot swiped away. That was Richards. Hero in the corner on the drive, hanging in the air, and he's got two.
Was only 2 for 3 on the year. He chooses him, and Richards does what he's supposed to do.
He's an 80% free throw shooter now. We'll keep you updated on Hero's status as best as we can. Great shooter, a freshman from Milwaukee. On the other end, the Eagles, they could make 10 or 11 threes a game today. That's their average. A misfire there. Johnson, he likes that corner. Too strong. And Pickett with the rebound. Anumba slashing the Italian. He was spinning around Richards. Quickly leaves it for Johnson.
Already be facing the passer.
Even despite the congestion, Kentucky 6 of 7 from the free throw line now. And up 15. Ferguson likes his shot from straight away. And the rebound down to Washington. You said it, they're going to run. Quade Green. Oh, how did he bank it in? What a play. Roman, corner 3, left it way short. And P.J. Washington, who had that near 20 rebound game a couple nights ago, all over the glass. Off before he vaulted it back at the window.
And you're right, you mentioned this earlier. He's much more comfortable off the ball this year. He's playing with a little swagger at that 2-guard position.
So you could see it.
Oh, no question. You could see it in practice yesterday.
Quade, a part-time starter last year, was asked to run the point quite a bit. Now more the 2-man. Jermaine Ukebu. He's the forward, the senior off the bench. And Winthrop cannot afford either of its bigs. Ukebu, Ferguson, even Anumba, to get into foul trouble early. Already down 15. Johnson, a catch in the paint. A wild shot. And Montgomery comes away with it. New 30. Johnson at the line for 2.
The process that we talk about doesn't just go game to game. It goes practice to practice, week to week, month to month. So you're going to see Cal up the entire game because it is all about the process of getting better. Better both individually and collectively as a group.
How about the ball movement here from Winthrop? And Nick Smith converts about 5 feet away.
How creative is he, though? So explosive. Has to overcome his size in a game like this, just 5'10".
That's his first field goal. He has a handful of assists. He had the 26 in a loss to East Tennessee State.
Comes out the framework of the offense.
We had a good conversation with Coach Cal about that yesterday at practice. It's the instincts. And also remember, you've got to visualize your shot. You can't catch and then at this level say, now I'll create. And he is urging his players, hey, make sure you see the passing lane. Make sure you get to this.
Establish those habits, practice those habits to where they become second nature.
Good to see Tyler Hero back into the game. Landed awkwardly on his bottom, attacking the rim. And he lets it fly.
Yeah,
it looks all right to me.
He needs to land on his hip more often. He's being very aggressive with his shot today, which is something Cal really encouraged him to do at practice yesterday. There's more example of the length.
Emmanuel Quick.
Pat Kelsey needs track shoes. He does not need dress shoes.
If you switch Fitbits with him, you look like you had a good day. Basically a four-guard look for Winthrop. One to shoot. Nick Smith didn't get it off.
About offensive patience so many times in a possession late in a clock. There's also such a thing as defensive patience.
E.J. Montgomery. You mentioned he can stretch the floor. Backpedaling on defense as Smith drives in transition. Zunic might have walked. We can't turn the ball over as much as we have to this point in the year.
I found it interesting to listen to Pat Kelsey about what he told his team about the boards. When he said, hey, if you can't get the boards, then bat it around. See if you can keep it alive, and we'll win the 50-50 balls.
How about the drive by Higgins that time? The freshman Smith. The shot's been a little off today. One of 7.
Yeah, he has to work so hard to get a look.
What's Kentucky doing?
They're just utilizing their length. They're making him be a driver, and they're driving him to more length.
Travis working on Ferguson. Unselfish to Hero. Who wants it? That was a hot.
Him quicker and higher. So they're looking to see how they can free him up in different ways.
He's a natural scorer. He and his brother Anders, they're still Minnesota State's scoring leaders at the high school level. They're number 1 and 2. And there is Mr. Broman.
Staggered double on the weak side, frees up Broman.
Offense a little aggressive, catching deep in the paint.
Well, here's a change because they put Broman at the point. So let's see if he can find another. They're going to run the same play the other side. Staggered double, the offense, and then the offense came back to him.
A 4-year starter, so we're saying he can play multiple positions. He could shoot. And he's got another. He's got a little swagger back on defense now. Winthrop has it back to a 10-point game, getting late in the first. We mentioned this is perhaps the conference champion in the Big South this year. That's how strong this hit 19 threes on Sunday. Now Kentucky outscored them. They won 92-82. It's been a little concerning trend. Winthrop, a good shooting team, has 7.
It's part of that defensive commitment we talked about in the process.
Another in the air, Austin Awa, the senior from Melbourne, Florida. With his first look, a little wide. Hero, long 2. That is a sweet stroke.
Now, this is by far the most aggressive I've seen Hero offensively this season. Shooting in rhythm and with confidence.
He's gone for about 10 a night this year, 4 games in. Nice drive to the bucket. Adam Pickett, he's one of the 3 seniors in Winthrop's starting lineup. Green is wide open. Broman comes down with it. Winthrop can cut it back to single digits. Winthrop has used the 3 ball to stay in this game. Pickett shields Green away. Awan again. Hero can even run the point. Foul.
By the way, happy Thanksgiving.
Well, happy Thanksgiving to you as well. And to everyone out there, we wish you the safe travels the next couple days. Kentucky gets a day off, but then it's going to play on Friday, 5th game for this very, very young team. Higgins, Johnson, Travis, Washington, Green on the floor for Kentucky. Travis has been a menace down low. They find him. Washington up and under. He scores.
That's just good team offense. Good spacing leads to good decisions.
There's a feed from Washington to Travis for a bucket earlier in the game, and Reed very thankful, and he returns the favor, gives it right back to Washington.
Unselfish play.
Yep.
See the guys in white, see how spaced out they are now. That's much better as they get into their horn set, which means two guys at the high post.
Johnson off the screen. Shimmies in. Travis the follow, and you have Washington on the other side. Weak side rebound in the score with 90 seconds left.
But a hockey assist for Reed Travis. He's the one who kept that play alive.
Ferguson. Boy, went right into a brick wall that time. Look out. Travis locked.
Nothing wrong with the offense.
All right, so coming up at halftime. Officiating crew tonight, Todd Austin, Will Howard, KB, Burgett. Oh, Anumba could not convert. Winthrop trails 15. 50 points for Kentucky, the season high in the first half. Mark, you alluded to it. One thing he said, though, was, I want to come back to become a better leader in addition to tuning my game as well.
He's going to get that opportunity.
Others like Kevin Knox, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Hamid Diallo, they left. And Kentucky, with the return of a player like Washington and others like Nick Richards, Quade Green, bring back the most scoring from the prior year since the team that started 38-0 a few years ago.
Could have gone 2 for 1 to close the half if they had gone quicker. This is an illegal screen on
Nick Smith. He's having a rough first half. He scored 21 against Vanderbilt earlier this year. That's a stronger Commodores team.
just a little more than a second differential.
Spins it off the window.
Goodness.
10 seconds to play in the first half. Washington. I want it, but he couldn't finish. 3/4 court, well short.
On the offensive end, all things at the arc.
Well, the Wildcats are plus 14 on the glass, and to your point, they've hit a bunch of threes in the first half. A whistle immediately.
Well, again, they've got to catch some breaks. They've got to shoot unbelievably well in the second half from beyond the arc. I want to go back to the defensive ingredients. I think if you want to be great defensively, you must have these three things. You must have great team speed, and Kentucky has that. You must have great length, the ability to block shots at multiple positions, and Kentucky has that. But the third one is all about, are you committed? Are you committed each possession? Are you committed on closeouts? Are you committed one and done on the glass? Those are the things that Kentucky is still a work in progress.
And that's more about the effort, bringing it for 40 minutes. No?
Well, yeah, these young guys are so used to not playing defensively because they didn't have to. In high school, the AAU circuit, that's an unselfish play by Quickly.
Johnson couldn't hit. Nick Richards. He can. Close range look. Nick Smith, a twirl Johnson around. Richards back on D. Another block. Here's Hero, transition three. Got it!
Defense gets great, leads to great offense.
Broman on the drive. He used his body well to get to the rim. Kentucky pushing again. 13 points and 9 boards for Washington. He has the ball. And his team is on a 5-0 run out of the gates in the second. Richards, how did he get that open? Lefty shot off the window.
Again, great things happen offensively when ball reversal is involved. Kentucky.
We were talking to Rex Chapman before this one. Boy, he is a big fan of Tyler Hero. P.J. Washington now with 15.
Too easy.
Pat Kelsey needs a timeout. Largest lead.
And go over, under. It was fabulous. I was entertained sitting courtside here.
It's hard to find really anyone who has a certain five-time Pro Bowler walks up to him. Luke Kuechly goes, "Hey, Pat." And Pat stands back and goes, "How do you know who I am?" He goes, "I grew up in Cincinnati. You were my favorite player when I used to attend Xavier games." Luke Kuechly was a heck of a basketball player now, back in the day.
Yeah, I love that.
Pat was able to convince Luke to help out the Winthrop Athletic Department with some...
If anybody thought this Kentucky team, even with Reed Travis and his experience, was going to be a finished product the first night, and that's just not the case. And what did Cal tell us yesterday in practice about the fact that he tried to hit the fast forward button because they played Duke in the first game, but that never works. And so he's had to go back, and they're working on defensive lunges in practice.
You just saw a Winthrop player go off the floor. 5 fouls on Jermaine Ukebu. He is gone. And he is really the only height off the bench for Winthrop. Hero fading away, left that one short.
Now that shot I don't like. Why? Because he faded. And consequently the shot was short.
Set his feet, go at the rim a little more.
Go straight up and down. You should land in the same spot you took off in, just like Ferguson did in the corner. I really like him. You talk about a guy that's blossoming.
The all Big South selection. He's been a double figures in the first 4 games. Deb Moore, the sports information directors, they're just ahead of the game. So Kentucky historically has faced more teams from Tennessee than any other state. With the win against North Dakota last week, Kentucky has now defeated a team in all 50 states. Now the only state they do not have a winning record against is Connecticut.
That's more recent in nature, isn't it? Yeah. 29. Now that seems hard to fathom. You can't picture Cal on the sidelines at Kentucky in 15 and 29, can you? You see all the shots that Kentucky is getting up here in the second half.
National domination. Well, Kentucky's going to play that Louisville team as it always does later in December on the 29th. That's at Louisville. And that will be against the now newly coached team with Chris Mack leading the charge. Excellent addition to the ACC.
Yeah, what a hire that was.
Ferguson. Quade Green, he put his right hand out to effect the pass, and he drives in.
Again, your defense creates offense for the Cats. That time it was Green with the deflection. Again, more backdoor action. That will not please Cal.
That's A-Wad. Johnson, he was caught between a couple black jerseys. Broman running with Baldwin. Missed the layup. Kentucky, no question, playing at its pace today. Now they're leading by 24. It's never really been that close. The Wildcats got out to a double-digit lead pretty quickly in the first half. Turnover.
I do like the way Kentucky started this half, though. The first segment came across the ring and landed some early blows. I think that's a travel on Baldwin.
What's he saying there to Quad A, you think?
Don't force the action. Went baseline, had nowhere to go. Travis was trying to post inside. Kentucky's really difficult to guard off this curl action.
Look at Keldon. And the ball poked away. Out of bounds. So still Kentucky ball, but 14 to shoot. Hero to Washington. No, that's Johnson with the jam.
Much better decision by Hero that time. Remember the last time he got into the paint, he turned around, took an off-balance, ill-advised shot. That time, a more unselfish play.
And 6 assists for Hero. Maybe another bucket. Scores. The lead continues to grow. A1. Back to a 23-point game.
He has really launched some threes today. Shot the ball with confidence. Pass too far. Go along the baseline. Get behind the defender. Nice find by Hero.
That's roommate to roommate there on the pass. How about, practice, Johnson?
That's a habit, too. Coaches wish they didn't have to teach that habit.
Those two really do look like they carry themselves like professionals, even as 18-year-olds. There's a push on.
8 minutes, you're just not. If you have a deep team, then you want to utilize your depth. But utilizing your depth means you've got to sit some. Oh, what a pass.
Anumba steals it back, and he's got a potential three-point play.
As a guy whose teams get significantly better throughout the year, and why is it more important for this process at Kentucky than other places? Because of the constant roster turnover from one year to the next.
You can't understate the difficulty it is to pick up and go each year with sometimes an entirely different starting lineup. Tyler Hero, the new piece.
So why is that a good shot? It's a good shot that came out of the framework of the offense. Inside-out action.
Tyler Hero with a dozen today. Pickett, air ball. Oh, in rhythm. Almost another. Would have given him 15. Travis has it poked away. Anumba got his hand in there to strip it loose. Wildcats with possession. And shot clock at 19. Let's watch for the look this time. E.J. Montgomery from 18. He can stretch the floor.
That's okay. An okay possession. He caught, evaluated, created the look. Quick hands.
Ashton Higgins.
Yep.
Montgomery. Hero finds him.
Hero working on that double-double, and I think it's the most difficult double-double. I think Pat Kelsey
coached in the NCAA tournament.
And that has translated to recruiting success. And one of the reasons why the SEC this year has a chance to be as good.
SEC had 3 teams in the NCAA tournament. I believe 2016. The following year, South Carolina's in the Final Four. Last season, 8 teams. A record for the conference making the tournament.
Awa just continues to be a knockdown shooter.
And look at, Mark, just the number of lottery picks out of the SEC. Now 19 from Kentucky.
Play on. 2 guys are battling for position. Neither one took advantage of the other.
How about Reed's game translating to the next level? He turns 23 in just a couple days, so an early happy birthday.
Yeah, he has to show that he can make the 3-ball. That's the one area of concern, because the NBA is about big guys who can shoot now.
Hero. Give him another 3.
Remember the unselfish play, Hero to Montgomery? There's the return favor.
Another shot altered at the rim. Winthrop has no chance gliding into the paint now. 25-point advantage. Big to big. And a foul hip.
Doesn't it seem like more than 6 today?
It really does. Calipari has been asking the players like Nick Richards and like E.J. Montgomery to become that rim protector. 5 to shoot. Goes back to Win.
Has had a hard time finding shots today, though. A small backcourt for Winthrop. Smith at 5'10", Pickett at 6'1", Froman at 6 foot.
Ferguson underneath.
And he's been a headache. He scored outside, and now he scored inside.
Now a little transition opportunity for Chuck Falden. And he missed the layup. He was right there. He was in traffic. And Kentucky could slow it down. Johnson doesn't want the corner 3, instead drives. Shooting nights, but this is what he is capable of. And Kentucky fans, rest assured, because he's going to deliver nights like this. So a couple times this year, he has recorded double-figure shooting nights. Bjorn Broman has hit a bunch of those shots over the years. The 4 years start.
Edge of the coaching box, scratch that. He's above the coaching box. You don't take practices off. You don't take games off. Hey, everybody makes threes for Winthrop.
Well, now that's the 10th for the Eagles. To your point.
Now, he will not sit there long, I promise you. He wants to see if his team can execute even with the score. Why? Because it might pay dividends down the road.
Well, his assistant coaches, Kenny Payne and Tony Barbie. They're getting an earful from Cal as he... Hey, by the way, the old LSU coach, right? Les Miles, perhaps interested. Coaching job at Kansas.
With his team yesterday in practice in terms of challenging them to play the right way. Yes, he could allow his team with the talent differential in this game to just go out and play. But that will not help the team when they play Utah. It will not help the team when they play at Louisville. It will not help the team when they play Carolina. These major tests that Kentucky has coming up before league play starts in January.
And remember, Kentucky plays Tennessee, Auburn, Mississippi State. Those are the conference's preseason picks, 2 through 4, twice in the conference
you
season.
play everybody in the league, you play 5 teams in the league 2 times. How about that kind roll off the top of the backboard?
Kyle Zunick, timeout Kentucky.
Immediately, Cal's not happy about closing out on the
league that we're not talking about, that SEC fans are going to learn about very soon.
Well, Andrew Nimhard, the point guard at Florida now, is another one that you're going to keep your eye on. And there are several, because your friend Paul Biancardi posted a thing that the SEC had more top 100 recruits this year than any other league in the country.
Hero is one of those top 100 recruits. Commit to Wisconsin. Receives some interest from Kentucky, and he makes the change. Oh, they forgot about Zunick, who scores at the rim.
Yeah,
that's a 15-point game.
That's being defensively lazy.
Johnson's pass knocked away by Adam Pitt.
Cannot take your foot off the gas when you're playing a team that's going to come at you for 40 minutes.
Keldon Johnson just ended the 8-0 Winthrop run. Back to Zunick, the hot hand. The Aussie scores again.
Cal frustrated because Johnson did not utilize his length defensively. He was too close. If you want to utilize your length as a defender, you have to actually create space.
We've discussed it. The offensive fluidity has been impressive today for and the all-out effort for all 40 minutes.
Well, at the NAI level, when I coached here in Kentucky, I had a player who would give you everything he had every single second. Wasn't the most gifted offensive player. But I never had to worry about that. I never had to worry about his effort. I never had to worry about his focus on the defensive end. That's what Cal has to change, because he doesn't recruit guys that aren't gifted offensively. You know, all these guys come here with a wonderful set of skills on the offensive end, but they are basically beginners defensively. Now, let's also say this. Winthrop is a really good offensive team. Really good.
Travis rolls. And here come the Eagles, down 15 with 3:25 to go in the game. Pickett lets it fly. And Hero with the strong board. He has done a little bit of everything today. Maybe his finest game as a Wildcat. P.J. Washington, another strong night for the Dallas native. He has 19.
Kentucky's so good in transition, Kevin, but you don't get to transition unless you get stops.
Bolden to Ferguson, knocked away. He starts a break. Hero, the transition three. That would have been his fourth today. Block. Exhibitions in August. Community service efforts there, here in Lexington. Enjoy some football as well. LSU and Texas A&M, top 25 battle on Saturday. Here's what's impressive about Winthrop. This team was down 25 a couple times in the second half. Never quit. I think that's a reflection of the head coach, Pat Kelsey.
Big South this year behind Radford. How about Tubby Smith coming back to the Big South?
He's now at High Point, coaching at his alma mater. Now, this Winthrop team is no question in the tournament discussion. They made the NCAA tournament when it won the Big South tournament a couple years ago. Nice move for Adam Pickett. He's had a fine second half, the senior from Virginia.
I talked about in the first half, he had trouble getting looks. That was so creative.
Winthrop's offense, the stress is ball movement. Pat Kelsey, he is an avid researcher, if you will. He studies the Golden State Warriors, loves what Steve Kerr has done, and now the initiative for Golden State is 300 passes a game. So Pat Kelsey says, let's prorate it. We're going to do 275. With 1 second to shoot, Keldon Johnson falling away.
All of a sudden, a free ball here gets it to 10.
With 1:10 left. Let's see if they can get one off. Pickett throws it away. The interception on the baseline by Washington.
I thought the first 4 minutes of the second half were really good. Kentucky's kind of taken their foot off the gas since.
Foul on Winthrop.
Coaching to the end. And players, they should be playing to the end. There's no such thing as a bad minute.
Keldon Johnson.
Pickett again with a marvelous creative move.
5 games in, Kentucky starts 4-1. The offense shoots 56% from the field. P.J. Washington with 19. And a season